Hola. ¿Se escucha? ¿Se escucha? Bien. Buenas noches. Muchas gracias a todos y a todas por venir. Vamos a empezar con la actividad de hoy. Hoy tenemos el placer de recibir a Catherine Mosbach, de Mosbach Paysagistes, en la escuela. Desde el SEAC estamos muy contentos con el programa público de actividades que tuvimos este año. Hoy creo que es la actividad número 31 o 32. Así que muchas gracias a todos por sumarse en estas discusiones. También estamos muy contentos con la colaboración que hicimos este año con Stéphane Jouy y Lucía Genaer de la Embajada de Francia en Argentina y el Instituto Francés en Argentina, por el apoyo que nos brindaron para el taller de invierno con Bruder, para el ciclo de conferencias, publicaciones y demás. Así que muchas gracias por el apoyo. Hoy desde el SEAC cedemos nuestro espacio al programa Arquitectura del Paisaje, dirigido por Juan Pablo Porta, y el año que viene será dirigido por Ignacio Fleurquin. Así que les voy a dar un poco la palabra a ellos para que introduzcan. Y bueno, thank you so much, Catherine, for joining us. We will switch to English later.
Buenas tardes. Simplemente me gustaría comentar que después de 6 años estoy dejando la dirección del programa y estamos haciendo una transición muy fructífera para lo que es el programa y la escuela junto con Nacho, con Ignacio Fleurquin. Me gustaría agradecer a Marcelo y a Ciro por la oportunidad de haber sido director de este programa y también nombrar a Cora Burguín, que fue la fundadora de este programa, que muy generosamente trabajó conmigo en los primeros años, y ahora estamos haciendo lo mismo con Ignacio, lo cual creo que es un buen ejemplo de cómo trabajar juntos. Simplemente say thank you to Catherine for accepting the invitation, and I give you the stage to you.
Bueno, gracias Juan Pablo, gracias Javi. Voy a hacer un switch inglés, así Catherine puede acompañarnos. Well, hello everybody and welcome tonight. I'll be introducing Catherine Mosbach lectures tonight. It's our pleasure having you in Buenos Aires and here at the Tella School, and also joining us this Saturday at the Landscape Architecture program. Catherine Mosbach studied natural sciences at the University Louis Pasteur in Strasbourg and then landscape architecture at the National Superior School of Landscape in Versalles, where she graduated in 1987. That same year, she co-founded the Mosbach Paysagistes office in Paris and the Pages Paysages magazine with Marc Claramunt, Pascal Jacques Coteau, and Vincent Ricot. The work of her office is known for the temporality and constant change of its elements in landscapes that combine historical, cultural, and natural relationships through an holistic approach. She has led projects in various scales around the world, such as the Phase Shifts parks in Taichung, Taiwan, and the outdoor area of the Louvre Lens Museum Park in France, for which she received the Écart d'Argent Award in 2013, together with Sana. In 2019, she received the French National Order of the Legion of Honor. Mosbach has taught at various universities, including Harvard University, GSD, Versalles National Graduate School of Landscape, and Philadelphia University School of Design. We're in transition. Since the beginning of the new century, the landscape discipline has wondered in how many ways we can redefine our relationship to our environment. What definition of nature was most relevant to us for a particular place, and what kinds of spaces do we envision for the social experiences we seek? This dynamic environment has changed simultaneously with the way we think and inhabit the biosphere. we are becoming more global, at the same time more local. As landscape architects, we design the distance from which we observe and understand project actions, most often associated with the public landscape, urban planning, and post-destruction areas. Places where anthropization is so advanced that our task is to improve the condition of the place and find the gap for a project. Sometimes these possibilities emerge in urban infrastructures, others in novel ecologies and biological relationships, still others in the cultural languages of the public sphere in which we pretend to identify ourselves as a society, in time and space. As new scientific knowledge was incorporated, the field of project research and ecosystem implications began to expand. We understood matter as a whole, from ecology to social supports, soil biology and atmospheric conditions, social dynamics and biological energy flows. The landscape became a capacitor of knowledge and social experience. A new landscape, as Donna Haraway says, as a hybrid of machine and organism. The image of the cyborg can point a way out of the labyrinth of dualism in which we explain our bodies and our tools. It means that we simultaneously build and destroy machines, identities, categories, relationships, and spatial histories. In other way, our practice is a reordering of a place connected to life in general, as Catherine would say. Catherine's work and her landscape office is an absolutely unique and personal career. We could define it as a work between masses and mixtures, a specific mixture between chemical, climatic, social, technical, and cultural layers. Their work is an interpretation of the elements of the biosphere in interaction with the social and cultural life in different places and landscapes. From atmosphere to lithosphere, Mosbach Paysagistes reinvents a design language within the discipline in a very thorough way. Innovation and experimentation as a result of a process provides the opportunity to enter the field of urban and countryside discussions. The appearance of its landscapes becomes a source of new knowledge in this unstable and dynamic cosmos. The unknown becomes culture, function, the everyday, and so the learning factor is found in an experience that goes beyond the objects. Their projects range from hydrological and ecological infrastructures, such as the phase shifts for parks, to historical and social spaces, educational areas, or archaeological sites that are also part of this landscape agenda. The office has the ability to transform a formal brief into a moving, dynamic experience: water dynamics, soil biology, and botanical relationships. The process within the process is part of its main narrative: engineering and technology. Mosbach dilutes the object and transforms it into a contextual system, a context that changes, and in which we get lost. Merci et bienvenue, Catherine.
Oh, I think it's okay. Good evening. C'est quoi? Okay. So I am pleased to continue the great introduction about the landscape. I will focus the presentation linked to across the dividing lines between architecture and landscape, but not only, between inside and outside, between the academic disciplines, between inside the body and outside the body. Means the way we engage dialectic linked to a context, linked to a brief, engage or not engage an open system, welcoming life and sensitive experimentation. Then, as we are live on the planet Earth, it is linked to the volume of humidity we can see in the sky. As you might know, the human body is 70% made by water. It is linked by the volume of light. Without light and without humidity, there is no life on Earth, on Gaia. So all that gives specific condition to develop a design process with the atmosphere crossing the lithosphere. When you have no humidity and when you have a mass of light, you can see that is no color. So it means there is no microorganism transforming the elements to life, and is a typical desertic condition. When you go nearby the edges, the river, you can see delicately, step by step, color is emerging because microorganisms begin the job and transform the element to life process. When it's full of rain, so it's springtime in east of France, you can see that the color is very shiny and very brilliant. So all that processes oriented specifically our design system, and the relation between liquid and solid. Here you can see the relation between liquid and vaporization linked to the contact between cold water to hot soil. It transforms radically the way the water oriented the path, or it gives such kind of system, or the relation between inside and outside. When you have hot inside and cold outside, you just can follow the water path through the different channels. All that engage the mold spontaneously. Means the mold, what is the mold? It's just microorganism we are all built by to something solid, means the life process. We will go through 4 competition strategy in subtropical desertic, in continental, and ended by construction in tropical humid, and finally in a room in Milano. That is Doha, subtropical desertic. We learn a lot. We are lucky as landscaper to discover the world through all different contexts, more than just travel and get leisure in a place. When you have a brief, you need to understand the singularity of each place to bring the brief to that singularity, and not to be like a colonial behavior, to bring your own references to another place of the earth. To engage that competition with Rice and Lipka from New York, we learn a lot from the large timeline, from the Earth work. Means at the very early beginning, when the planet was really just some spots with cyanobacteria, it was just one solid. From the outcrops of salt deposit in a closed sea, it was the only sign life, cyanobacteria, practicing photosynthesis. Then the continents were clustered in a supercontinent called Pangaea, while the ancestor of the Pacific Ocean called Pantalasia occupied half of the Earth's surface. Alan Nutman from Wageningen University, Australian, found recently in a metamorphic rock informing issue in Groenland conical limestone structure named stromatolith, built layer by cyanobacteria, means life, microorganism. Until now, it was thought that the metamorphic sedimentary rocks, so the visual you see on the right, order means buried deep in the Earth's crust by tectonic movements, should have been affected by the pressure and temperature prevailing there for traces of life they are still observable. If that hypothesis of Alan Nutman is validated, the emergence of life would be advanced from 220 million years, and all hopes are to find on Mars. The breakdown of Pangaea resulted in the formation of the Atlantic Ocean and fragmentation into land masses that moves against each other along various planes. The erosion of the new land masses promotes the formation of deserts and helps dry the interior basins, forming a dune landscape similar to the current look. Continental drift, continental morphing. The distension of the African continental crust engaged a rifting with the opening of the Red Sea, so the place we are walking, and Gulf of Aden, which led the formation of the Arabian Plate, which is the result of collision of the Arabian Plate with Eurasia North, closing of the Strait of Hormuz, which immersion of Musaddam rise of Al-Hajar mountains. Immersion shallow water regions resulting web formation of significant limestone deposits. The Jebel Fire, the world's most ancient settlement yet discovered of anatomically modern humans outside of Africa, is formed, so also the mountains of Al-Hayar. The Persian Gulf is dry, Tigris and Euphrates river flows into this, create lakes that makes in an oasis, and thus the wettest, green and fertile area of Arabian Peninsula. Today, because of the rising sea level due to melting of the last glacial period, the Persian Gulf is floated. So it's today. It reshapes the landscape of dunes, result of the accumulation of sand from erosion of rocks deposited on the Persian Gulf before being floated. So from oasis, we go to the desertic condition, subtropical desertic. That's our background. To introduce the competition, the Art Mile, it's a factory. It was a factory, and it was expected by a brief to be a museum, the Art Mile factory. That's the place for a few years ago, and you are in front of the museum from Jean Nouvel, today built up. That was the condition we had before introducing any design strategy. When we work with architects, whatever size of the area we have, we always try to understand the link between the brief, the project, and the global urban scale. In that context, in Doha, on the right side, you have the previous airport, and it was given to Omar to develop new urban development on all previous airports, the airport going out of the city center. Then you have the coastline around the Gulf, and the way to bring together an industrial area to the new urban development with the tower you see before. As said before, when we begin to try to engage a draft, we try to understand what happened all around in the land and to identify all different milieux, as we are in desertic, so the water is sparse and the plants need to be very courageous to survive. So we try to understand the condition the plants survive in with nothing, with no elements, with no water, with no food. And we discover that the dune microtopography protects the roots of the small plants and catch the sparse water until to bring them to the roof system. So all that delicate strategy in a desertic condition makes the things possible to very small plants. We were engaged in that competition with Rice and Lipka for the second stage. So means as architects, they begin to engage the build strategy linked to the existing is a renewable building. And we bring our landscape strategy through the draft they have done with the building with a vision to catch and to filtrate it, the hard sun, to bring the sunshine to the underground basement, and to try to make a dialectic between the seashore, means only pebble without any organic situation, and the contact to the earth with only sand, means with very sparse organic elements. So all that parameter combined together engage a dialectic through the coastline until the earth, and the way to catch the water from the sea, so the salty water, and to bring the water in different conditions. That's the master plan. It's a building. You can see that the way to catch the water from the Gulf, to bring the water in the different stages, transform everything to landscape. And the main subject I explain is if it's a museum linked to a foundation with a small piece of park, we need to introduce strategy so that the plants survives, even you have 40 degrees or 45 degrees in regular times. In that countries, they have a lot of, as you might know, money, so they bring the water from outside. And for plants, it's always a shock to be under 45 degrees or 50 degrees in regular time, and to have hot, cold water bringing from above. When you bring the water from the soil to the roots, so the regulation about the temperature is much more biologically available for life. Then we propose to catch the water from the sea, to bring into the different galleries as a regulation climatization, to transform the water through the soil in the patio, and to bring them until the garden scale by desalinization, to bring them to the plants and to return to the Gulf. So it means landscape is not only to propose some scenes, static scenes, but to work with the infrastructure and to make the infrastructure as a dynamic system, giving services for different kind of places. And here the galleries is climatization, the patio as fresh air around the galleries, and by sure the minimum the irrigation for the plants. All that is by sure done for welcoming people and piece of arts in a very contrasted climatic condition. Then you have the seashore, as you can see, dry with just some drops of water, and you have the coastline shore with a very generous appropriation of plant system. We lose a competition against elemental. You might know. I'm not sure the program is no build-up, but elemental do a very nice building as a very good architects, but the landscape doesn't exist anymore. In another desertic context in Riyadh, Saudi Arabian, a place in a diplomatic district over a wed, again the same very contrasted and hard condition for life, and you can see the power of the wind, the sand, and the wed. The wed is an underground river, intermittent underground river. We are, if you can see the red point, it's again a renewal, not a new building from Otto Frey, a very, very good architects. And it was the subject to transform the diplomatic offices building, like the ambassade or such kind of things, to some kind of boutique hotel or something like that. So here, as the previous draft, it's done by Series Architect from London. It's linked to an existing building, so an existing design, very typically and very powerful design. You like or you don't like is not a subject. You are in between a kind of topographic hill over a wed, and to find a way to engage a dialogue with existing, both architecture and both landscape. And in that sketch, we do the competition on the first step with Rise and with Series architect from London, not in the second stage. Means we evolve together with the landscape strategy combined with the build strategy. As a previous brief, we are in a very hard context. We are a very economic rich condition. You need to deal with what you have all around. And we try in another way as in front of the Gulf, because the weather are mainly dry and not available for humidity. We try to engage strategy to catch the drops of water as much as possible all around, and to understand how to protect the new living rooms as a hotel against the hot condition, to catch the water with the canopy of the trees, and to engage a circular system with geological regulation frame, combining both the power of the wind and with the canopy to protect it against the sunshine for regular life, and to use the plants and regulation flow from the wind. So you protect it as much the roofs by the topography, and the small faunistic and floristic life under the canopy. And especially it's done for the people living in the roof. So it's done with all kind of knowledge about the sun, the wind, and the hydrologic system. Linked to you can see that Otto Frey was really kind of organic. It looks like a castle and with some kind of tents. And we need to find a way to dialogue with that very engaged architecture, so that it's not in contradiction, but it's quite a kind of independence about the design. And we use the vision of living selves to engage that dialectic. That's a hand draft from our teams to test the relation between that large park. And you can see that most of the area today is hard soil as parking plots with asphalt enrobé. And all around the building, and a very traditional inside garden as an oasis, and all around just left down like, okay, it's sand, it's real geographic context, and we do nothing with. So that's what is today. Then we engage that strategy to catch the water as much as possible through the sand, and to engage a way to welcome spontaneous seeds, to make with the whole system a landscape over the wets. You can see maybe it's a little bit shy, the blue drops for the water drops, bringing the water in the domestic rooms, and returning to the wets. And when you transform all that in the real sand condition, it will be like some phasen, means you cannot see what is designed and what is spontaneously welcomed by just the life all around. That's what it looks like. So all the rooms are in the thickness of the section. And in the night. That was no result at that competition. So we wait 2 years to know what happened, and finally they don't give any further development. We don't know why, it's just maybe political reason. Let's go to continental Switzerland. So much more means regular seasons, but another with high months, the Alps, with water table with high level of movement when it's snow melting. We do that with Bruder and Baukunst from Belgium, Bruder from Paris. You might know because he do a competition for that university. It's a campus, an industrial campus, means a place where, it's an existing campus, a place where you can make prototype for flight, for helicopter, or for such kind of testing. It's existing. So here, it's not runnable from existing. It's just an additional, like the brief from that competition you follow here in the university. The dark plots are the highest point of the Alps, of the mountains all around. So we are really in a valley. And as said, the water table is really nearby the level of the regular soil. And at spring, at the snow melting, it's coming out of the soil. So you need to propose something that works with the different seasons and with a different variation of the height of the water. The existing building are all around as a frame, and the new building are the rectangle on the left, on the right, sorry. We were inspired by the Alpen with migration from the animals from the winter to the spring, and making some passes, mineral passes through the spontaneous meadows, and the way the water is going through when the snow is melting. So we are nearby a river, a small river on the south part. So it was easy to bring the overlapping water on the spring from the northeast to the southwest. So the water is going back to the riverbed. It is very important in a landscape strategy to propose places where you can have many kind of uses and not only one kind of uses. Means the system, the interpretation of the technical condition need to be always open to different way to invest a place. So in that case, I pass through the link to the river, but by sure it's a small garden, quite small piece of garden for students. So between two courses or two practices, they go outside to have fun with each other and to play together. And so it's very traditional places with area to take rest and benches. And when at spring it's going over from the water table, it becomes another landscape. So radically different, but without any drama, as it happens in many cities when water is going over. It becomes dramatic for the regular life. So here, the design of the outdoor is engaged that whatever happened, there is no dramatic situation. If it's low level water, it is just a high position where you can rest with concrete area, benches, or just lawn. And when it's high level water, sorry, it's going too fast. I don't know. When it's high level water, it's just in between full of water, but without any damage about uses for regular life. It's going too fast, sorry. This last competition, again with Bruder and again with Baukunst from Brussels. It's Usadash from Zurich, again an architecture campus, like here. Again, we work together since the beginning with the architects team. And when we work at the beginning of a competition with the team, we always propose our specific interpretation from the global context. So you can see that we need to understand, we are in Zurich, so Zurich is very steep with the mountains, with the lake, with not as steep as Winterthur, but steep too. We are in a very historical patrimonial district, so high protected about monument and historical spirit. Here, as in Louvre, I would say the architect changed the draft after reading our interpretation from the context. And it becomes something as architecture becomes landscape by themselves, from inside to outside. So you can see that we draw the site context as a topographic earthwork. It was a very small pieces, much more smaller as what you have here. So for landscape, it's quite, you need to have imagination to propose something that you don't feel in a small space. So we work with our team to show the impact of the light, the shadows, the wind, and the different level on the basement. As it's very steep, you have a ground floor on the east and a different ground floor on the west. And all that combined with a different level of the build brings different rooms, outdoor rooms like balcony with different size, welcoming different kind of seeds and plants, not in the facade, vertical facade like done everywhere, but producing space and specific quality of space linked to the way the building and the trees all around produce shadows and produce light and produce places for spontaneous seeds. That is a master plan, and it's a building. It's not a garden, it's a building. I learned recently that all architects in the jury vote for that project, and it was strongly again from the politics, because it doesn't respect the historical written of the building all around. So you can see whatever strategy you bring and to propose to bring new way to occupy and to invest plots, it's always a passive position from much more conservatism and traditional point of view to respect what was before and not to change anything. The winner from that competition is Herzog and de Meuron, and even if it's a very, very good architects, the urban context is quite very low resolution. That's the building. So it looks like much more as a promenade, as a static monument. Back to realization. North of France, not a renewal, but in a global timeline, a link between new brief means Museum Louvre Lens, bringing in a very, very shocked land, countryside, because the coal economy shut down for 30 years ago, and it was decided from Paris that to bring life in different regions of France, it's necessary to bring some pieces of museum from the city Paris, means from the center of France to all around in the region. Here we were approached by Sana from Tokyo at the beginning of the competition. I would say that before the architects competition, it was a competition between different cities, as you might have for Jeux Olympiques. And that city wins the competition because of the possibility to bring a cultural facility in a large piece of land. It's 25 hectares, and both together, inspired by Bilbao, could bring an economical energy and dynamic to bring economical renewal for the whole territories, means 40,000 hectares. Sana at that time, 2005, doesn't speak as much English. They win just before Louvre Lausanne. So as we do regularly, we send every week to Tokyo. We never met nor Sejima nor Nishizawa. And we send regularly every week our drawing, our interpretation from what we understand as landscaper. We were the only French company. The scenograph was in New York, Tim Colbert. And we sent all those drawings linked to the way we understand the link between the plots to the whole territories. As landscaper, when you got such kind of strange limit of a plot, you can say, oh my God, it looks like as nothing. It looks like as a mushroom, and what can we do with that? As you might know, it was before the attack in Paris, but the security team from Louvre Paris were very, very stressed to bring all very high-level cultural pieces in a very fragile lands, and they asked Baishu all around fences, like Versailles, to protect the site against a difficult context. So as landscaper, the only way we found to go through the limits is to use it's a mine pit, an horizontal mine pit. Before the electricity were discovered, it was horizontal. So it's 4 meters above the all around city gardens. And we use the thickness of the soil as a limit, and we play with the traveling of the transportation of the goal to bring the visitor to the lobby of the museum. Means we play with the worst context to make it a positive value. Here too, as for Brüder, at the beginning, Sana proposed a jovel floating in the mid of the meadow, or the clearing, and they changed the draft of the building 2 weeks before the submission to fit with the landscape strategy, means to fit with the traveling system, to bring the visitors from north, south, east, west, all around, from the whole lands all around, and not just to make a main entrance, like to go to a monument and to have a static relation with the local condition. You can see the cut and fill from the dig, from the basement, because the most important volume of the build is underground as a basement. And before the horizontal mines peak, we have very, very good silt condition, and we use that native material before the oil exploitation to build up that wall and to bring the fence as a landscape threshold and not as a fence, to say you are outdoor and you are inside and you have no communication between outdoor and inside. We were very lucky. It was open 2012 and 2014, as explained in the introduction. It was hard sunny, the summer, and hard rainy. So hard sunny and hard rainy. The silt wakes up and welcome a lot of life. Again, bacteria. It was not expected to have spontaneous life on vertical lift. It was expected on the head, but not on the vertical. So it was a great gift for a landscaper to just discover that the strategy you engage work more than expected and welcome life spontaneously without doing nothing. Just exposed material to sun and light. Then with Sana, we work very nearby together in the whole design process, and we wanted the building floated in the middle of the clearing, but it's not possible because when you go to the galleries with a piece of art and you bring dirty foots by crossing dirty soil, by raining, it rains a lot, so it's very dangerous for the piece of art. So we try to find a way to make hybridization between mineral and vegetal. And when you do a very large interest by concrete, you need to make recess joint because, if, as you might know, the concrete is live too and moves linked to the climatic condition. And we find that way to transcribe the spontaneous bacteria. When you do nothing, produce mosses, produce herbaceous, produce shrubs, and then the first trees. And in addition, the mosses transform the pollution of the air, capture the pollution of the air coming from the vertical mine pit, and fix it on the soil. So we use all that strategy interpreted by the microorganism proliferation to propose joints on that mineral area, and again, all that is coming along. So when you introduce safe condition and open system in a place, the life invited and propose a lot of spontaneous things, you can be very surprised. I don't speak about architecture because it's not my scope, but by sure the choice from Sana to propose a facade by glass or by aluminium means that whatever year, whatever season you go to that place, it looks never the same vision. And that is a gift, because it's totally different when you see a building, means built as a monument. You have always the same vision. Okay, sometimes it's foggy, sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's raining, but what you see in front of you is always the same. In that project, landscape and architecture is just one unique piece, and it's always in a different apparition. And that is really, really important. And by sure, step by step, year by year, the trees are growing not as fast as in tropical humid, but you have always specific apparition. And that is another way to dissolve the limit and to go in a different way, what you can propose to the visitors. And especially, we don't want it at the competition that the cultural level, like in many briefings, in many places, go over the environmental level and the economical level. For us, economic, cultural, means economy by oil. You may know that the oil and the coal is coming from the large timeline transformation from the plants. So it means the plants transform to coal, bring economy and richness to that country. They lose it with the end of the coal economy. The plants come back spontaneously because it's like an abandoned area. So the plants and the life come back. It was the reason the jury chose a place to bring here the Louvre. And now we bring the cultural, means the civilization level. And all that three levels should always work together and not one overlaps the other one. Links to my interpretation, that's Venet installation from last year's. Links to my interpretation of landscape, the Louvre team from Paris asked that the urban development from the whole 4,000 hectare territories was managed by a landscape architect, means the team head was a landscape architect, and it was linked to the way we engage the dialectic from the cultural facility to the large territory. It is went by Michel de Vigne. Michel de Vigne and myself were in the same school in Versailles, so we don't need to meet or to make any discussion. It just enlarged the strategy I engaged in the larger urban development, and it works. So that year we have the celebration of the 10 years of the building. And it's a really realistic dynamic of renewable economy all around the 4,000 hectares, which is very large, and I would say, which is very sparse and as an experience in France, but I think all around the world. So all that is spontaneous. It's existing trees around the mine pit, so the place where the people are going down to the coal to work. And I asked the team not to clean because for many people it looks like dirty. And I supply the garden not to clean. So that is the design process, and open to welcome to spontaneous appropriation. Let's go to the before final in tropical humid, Taiwan. A very, very different condition. So 100% water, 100% sun. So that the regular population take the weekend in the shopping mall and never outdoor. We win the competition with Philip Ram 2011. Taiwan is a volcanic island. So here, like in other pieces, we try to understand the singularity of the island. And since the beginning of the competition, we have very different background, Philippe and myself. We propose in the competition level to a dialectic between atmosphere design and a lithosphere design. So it means atmosphere linked to the quality of the air, the pollution and the sound pollution and the air quality, the humidity and the sun effect, and the lithosphere linked to the topography, the strategy, the way to catch water from the whole 250 urban development drawn by Stan Allen, an American urbanist. And both combined together, so both very different strategy combined together, introduce such kind of design. And here, like in another scale, we are in 70 hectares, working with 250 hectares urban development. We are supposed to catch all rainwater in monsoon period. Means in monsoon period, 80% of the park is covered by water, without any trouble, just for regular life and for all new urban development all around. It was requested to keep cut and fill from all, because it's an airport context, means airport, even you have 2 kilometers from north to south, you have 12-meter difference, but the topography is flat because it's an airport. It's 1% slope from north to south. So with a hypothesis to keep cut and fill on place, to just not to make polluted traffic all around, we created topographic beds to catch the water and mounts to cross the traffic east-west, so that you can go from south to north, so more than 2 kilometers without crossing any traffic. We proposed a different lens condition, less hot, less humid, and less polluted, far away from the traffic. Combined at the beginning with the work on the topography, the trees' capacity to transform the airs, the phytoremediation to clean the water coming from all around, and to proposing different lands, very singular lands, combined with each singular furniture and activities. Means 45 is coverage by vegetation. I go through the quantities of new trees and transplanting trees. In tropical humid means like in that country, the seasons are very shy. You don't see the contrast between the seasons. So the only way to bring rhythm in the public space is a way to work on different series of vegetation and different kind of plant species, just to bring rhythm in outdoor life. Because the goal was really to bring people outdoor so that they don't spend the whole weekend in shopping malls. They have very different relation between their bodies and the relation between to invest outdoor. For example, when they take baths in the sea, they keep the clothes. They are never without clothes. Then it was requested, linked to all those 15 resorts, linked to the quality of spaces we propose by working between the atmosphere design and the lithosphere design, different places, and the mayor of the city asked to introduce installation linked to the 12 cents of Rudolf Steiner. So it was a guy who introduced different link with the body and with a different relation between communication between people. Means we don't propose only scenes, static scenes or live scenes. We propose places, common places that people spend time together, play together, have imagination together, and discover world together, which is the goal for a public space. Then you can see it's defined, the parameters are defined square meter by square meter, which is quite a little bit crazy for 70 hectares. But it was the only way to have the hand of the biologic condition of the cleaning water and of the phytoremediation of the wastewater coming from the city, a phytoremediation done with all that layer of plants you can see on the right of the drawing. It was requested on the same time 1 hectare photovoltaic field so that the whole park is autonomous of the energy. It was requested 900 parking plots. So you can imagine if in the brief it requested 900 parking plots. If it's to make the proposal for shopping mall center plots, they don't need it, landscape architects. So we try to propose combining the energy production with the parking plot so that it looks like a park. And you never see all parking plots in one shot, in one view. It's always in between different places. That vision were done at 2019. So it's a very, very, I would say, baby ages, and without any urban development all around. In monsoon season means the topographic bed open to regular life becomes a lake when it's monsoon season, and without any damage in the installation. What I said before is a place needs always to be polyvalent, to be open to further appropriation. You cannot know the further generation what they want to do, what they play with. And here we have a sample with, for example, that place. As said, we need to use cut and fill regulated with the whole area. We propose such kind of infrastructure to cross the traffic. So it brings continuity from north to south. It brings shadow for regular life when it's 40-degree outdoor. It's like when you go in a church or in a cathedral, you have a huge difference between inside and outside without any artificial interference. And so here it's day when you cross the cab, when it happens, the cab is crossing. And at night, it's a possibility to be a theater because you have a very, very good reflection, sound reflection, and a very, very specific atmosphere to make, to propose a spontaneous event for art pieces or art performing. What happened? They explained me that it happens without organizing anything. So it's another way to capture the inhabitants to have different behavior as just regular life in an outdoor situation. And here, with all that topographic, macro-topographic and micro-topographic works, you can see that you have very, very different context just by playing with shadows, light, and with just regular season rhythm and life. And all that are not pictures done from us. It's just spontaneous behavior outdoor. So when you see that people are inspired without telling anything, without making storytelling, without explaining anything, you can understand that you touch something important in their life. The last is just in opposites, just to explain that landscape has nothing to do with scale. It's a way to engage porosity between different contexts. It's in the Triennale of Milano, 2016, we had a very difficult construction stages with Louvre because the building was in the middle of the plots. Something should be a garden, a park, so the worker don't take care of any trees. And you can imagine if you have trees existing, you do everything to protect them, to keep them safe. And we propose to the client sound installation to make the worker sensitive to the life all around and not to demolish the spontaneous, what is existing, because of the speedy of the construction. We work with Chandor Jury Ovo, and it was an installation combining light, sound, to welcome cyanobacteria, to welcome molds inside a building. It happens more or less because when you bring humidity in a building, you have the fireman system alarm going very speedy. So we need to introduce 2 or 3 times linked to the exhibition because it was not allowed to make fog with humidity with artificial system. But finally it happens. We don't introduce that, it comes along. And that was a way for us to show to people that life is everywhere, and it's just a way, the behavior you engage with your body and with what is all around you, which authorizes or not evolution of such kind of happiness.
rischio cos'è questa montagna di muscoli che schiaccia? ここは待ってくれないよとアポエンジンだから需要继续等待的服务。
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, for the wonderful presentation. We have some time for comments, and questions, and answers. I just wanted to make a small introductory note. You mentioned a lot of times during the presentation the word gift. The nature appears that it was a gift to have that happening. And I think that for us it was really a gift to see all buildings and projects that we were familiar with from another point of view and understanding them much more, whether it's the Taichung project or the Senai Museum. It was wonderful to hear a story you think you knew told differently, making much more sense in a way. I don't know, Nacho, if you have any comments or questions to start, or perhaps the students from the landscape program.
I can play as the icebreaker.
Well, thank you, Catherine, and congratulations for all your work and to sharing with us your design processes. I would like to start with a classic question because we're in an architecture school. I would like to ask you, for you, what's the role of the landscape architect today?
As important as a philosopher, more important as a philosopher, because I was lucky. I suppose because as you might know, I created Pages Paysages magazine. Oh, okay. I begin at the beginning. When we come out from school, Versailles, it was just a few companies, so it was not as much commission or competition. So as a young student as you are, when you go, so I come from the countryside and go to Paris just to have a position. It takes 5 years, money, and you cannot say to your parent, okay, I come out from school, I have nothing, because there is no work. So the only way we found with a few to float it is to create a magazine to bring together all people thinking about that subject. Not just some kind of people, all kind of people. It means the clients, the nursery, the companies, the architects, the artists, the philosopher, everything. And when you try to understand all the people, even you don't know exactly what you think yourself because you are young and okay, I discover what is a project just at the end of my diploma. I discover at the end of my diploma that is never finished, that is just ongoing, and you need to be comfortable with that, which is not easy. When you ask as a student to have answer on your question and you have no answer, you need to be comfortable that it's just ongoing and that is quite great. So it's no drama. Just be confident with what happened and play with. Then when you have discussion exchanges and you make article and you make transcription with interview, transcription, with all such kind of people, you learn a lot. Because you learn a lot that it's not just one point of view, that you need to understand different kind of point of view to understand something going in one direction. And that was a very important training as much as the project, as a real project, the construction. I suppose linked to that practice of producing a magazine, so we do everything, the layouts, the text, everything, the financial system, everything. You are identified as a cultural way, and I win the first step of botanical garden with that background. So I will not go in the detail of the botanical garden. I work with Françoise Hélène Jourda, again with an architect. It was a really, really close combination with the spirit of the system. And so it was requested. It was a botanical garden is a place to make experimentation for botany at that time. Maybe it changed. No, it's just a scene or something static. But in the previous century, it was really practices playing to study. And the keeper asked me to represent the environment from the whole basin Aquitaine basin. So as I am biologist at the origin, I respect scientific. So I said, oh my God, he asked me to make a representation of the whole country. It's not possible. He's crazy. And then I learned that brief was linked to a student work. And I was a young landscaper, and I said, okay, the student proposed to do that, so it's not the keeper. So it's not a scientific program. So if the student proposes that I have my diploma, I'm supposed to do it. So it's very basic, a little bit naive. But I was my anxiety was lost because I learned that it was a student work, and I do it. I was lucky to find a worker to help me in that way because I have no, for example, the earthwork, I never have done it. I don't know. I come out from school, so I know nothing. And that piece gives much, much more as what we could expect it. So when you propose an interpretation of a brief, someone asks you something crazy, you try to do it as rigorous as possible, because it needs to be not only a place for inhabitants, for new urban development, but it was just 20 hectares, not like Taiwan. And the park, Bordeaux, 6 hectares, 20 hectares. And you see that the inhabitant invests much more as what you never imagined. It works much more as you never imagined. It's okay, you can do everything. And it has nothing to do with the size of the place. It has to do with the way to engage the design process. It means that it's a huge responsibility with the inhabitant population. The space you engage offers freedom or not freedom, or control spaces or not control spaces. And when you see that the people, the student, because in front of the park you have a university, and that all students come here, play together with something you never imagined. Okay, I do it. It works. So you believe it. You cannot decide it the way the people invest your places. You make everything that is possible, it happens. But it's not your power to say, you do that, you do that, you do that. And if you do it, it's crazy, because it's like a jail. So we have a huge responsibility in the way the inhabitants have a contact with their own relation with other people, and with their relation with the body, with what is not their body. So it's a humanistic responsibility. That's the reason I say we have more responsibility, or as much responsibility as philosophers, because we do real places, and we propose real places, so that inhabitants learn about themselves, learn to spend time with others, and learn to something happened without their own decision, which is very important today. In Paris, it's a drama, because you may know the different discussion about genders everywhere, and transition and everything. So in Paris, they engage briefs for genders. So means the small boys have specific games, and the small girls, and they. So how can it work as adults? It's a pity. So I mean, as much as you specify specific area for specific behavior, as much you divided the society, and you divided everything, and you got lost. Because when it's powerful, you bring all together, and with what you know, what you don't know, who are comfortable, you are not comfortable, and you learn life. So we cannot do that spaces without a request from someone. I could never do the project from Louvre Lens with Sana without the request of Louvre, without strong request. We want that park. Because as you know, architect is always more expensive. Because when you work with architects with experimentation, it's much more expensive. And in regular life, it's always picked up from outdoor. And without the support from Louvre and the support from the Minister of Culture, the park was just grass. I was no stress, because I said, okay, if you want to go by swimming in the lobby, it's okay. It's not my problem. It's your problem. So you are free to propose your own interpretation, but you need someone who asks you to do it. If you have not someone to ask you to do it, you cannot do it, because it's not private, it's public. But it's your power to do the interpretation and to give it to the inhabitant. So I feel it's a huge responsibility, but not a lot of companies do take that responsibility, because mainly it's quite much more academic and safe.
I wanted to ask you, related to what Ignacio was asking and your answer. What do you think are the challenges for landscape architecture in regards to city, and in regards of the relationship of city with nature?
For me, is the huge, the mainstream is environment, ecology. So means the previous stages is, okay, the landscape architects are just necessary to choose the spaces. And now the landscape architects are just necessary to follow the ecology academic vision. So when it was created, the Minister of Environment in France, you had a very famous botanist who said it was an advisor to the politics. When you have a high level of science, you're mainly advisor from politics. And he said, okay, I don't understand why you do a Minister for Environment. If you do a Minister of Environment, you should do a Minister of Chemistry, a Minister of Mathematics, a Minister of Physics. So why environment? It's a science. And it's true. For me, it's true. So why not a Minister of Physics Quantique? That is the next revolution from the civilization. So it means to keep one way to interpret, even if it's a tool, if it's an instrument of knowledge, that nobody say something different. But for public area, common area, public space, or building, you need to bring together different tools of knowledge, and you are putting together all the tools to bring one vision. So it means nobody needs a human. If you put together the data of all science, you give it in a computer and it's done. It's not expensive. But so why is the interpretation? Civilization is always interpretation. It's not just economy, it's not just rationality, it's sensibility, it's a vision. If not, there are no artists. So the challenge is the landscape architect has not to be invest just by environment. It's then by sure I prefer position that is very delicate than position that is overdrawn. So it needs to be a good relationship between what you propose and what you're invited to let do. When it's overdrawn, it's static too. It's another way to go in to close the system. So our responsibility is to let the system open, but to propose a vision. If you don't propose a vision, you give it to a computer, it works as well, and faster, and cheaper. So it's a great time, but we need to be many all around the world. It takes time. It takes maturity. Yeah.
I don't know if there are any questions from the audience.
Pero lo voy a hacer en castellano.
Vale, muy bien.
Vos me la traduces.
Dale.
Buenas tardes. ¿Qué es lo que te mueve en una visión? O sea, lo que yo interpreto de tu trabajo es que hay mucho arte. Y quisiera saber qué te motiva cuando te llega un nuevo proyecto. Si tenés algún fin personal en tu trabajo.
I grew up in countryside, so I learned the world as a child. My playground was without frame, everywhere, so encountered danger everywhere, but it was no problem. So it means when as children you have such kind of freedom, so the world is magic because it's open. Then I am a scientific at the source, and I was very good in chemistry. The professor wanted me to be a great chemist, and I said, because I am closed in a white laboratory without windows, and so it's not possible. So it means I am we are in a great period about science discovering in all kind of science. I learned about, so I have no practice in science, but I learned about other scientific, and they said since in the whole humanity there was not as much, never as much discovering as the 30 last years in all kind of science. So means it's strange because we are very fragile in politics system, the link between the different countries. But in discovering, we are in a really great period, and at the same time in arts, in the scenography, in the art exploration. It's a really creative period. So my background, my brain is transformed by the chemical background of everything. I mean, what happened in your body, what happened in your brain, how the cells combine, how the cells decided the connection between, and we are just on the first step of knowledge about that. So when I propose a space, it's not an end; it's just a way to go through and to learn. So as landscape, maybe more as architects, I am lucky to visit. I'm here, so I never were in Argentina. You discover the world through your practice, which is a gift, because you can never be lazy because it's so wonderful. Wherever you go, it's wow. It exists. So it's a way to be optimistic, but then it's a way to propose to other people who are sad or it's a way to propose so that the next generation enjoy and go the next step. What happened quite when you have children, they are much more alive than when we were children. So because I don't know why, but the knowledge is accumulated in the background. I don't know, but it's real. It's real. So we have the capacity and to give that gift to inhabitants. So why should we don't do it? And to make more visible, so that each person or each inhabitant is much more comfortable with his own limit. Because you have many people sad because it's always a reason to be sad, but it's always many reasons to be happy. So just need to choose your way. Oh, okay, that's my way too. Even you can imagine that both Louvre and the last video will never exist without my trouble with Louvre. I do that just to react to say, okay, guys, you don't understand nothing, please take care. So it doesn't happen. The trees are cut. They put me away from the construction because I was just infernal, and I put me in front of the trees so that they don't cut the trees, but they cut the trees. So I do that after. I wanted to do for the worker, but nobody, they need to finish the buildings, they are busy, stressed, etc. But in fact, yeah. So, and Taiwan, it's same, it's just very difficult, the construction is very difficult, so it's just incredible that all exists, if you think really. So it's many reasons to be optimistic, and even you have many difficulties to go through. But even if you stop at each problem, you do nothing. You just go to bed and wait. So it's just a way you use your instrument to go through what you don't know. So I have no end. It's just a way to go through your path. But I'm lucky because I discover a lot of very nice people and very brilliant people. That's a gift. But all architects and landscapers could have that. Just do it. I'm not exceptional. Oh, she don't understand English?
Sí, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you. It's very interesting to have met you. You are very inspiring to my work. Thanks.
There's any other questions from the audience?
Yes, Catherine, what do you think, or what do you know about the reception of your work in terms of this aesthetic of spontaneous, because we have some problem here with that kind of aesthetic. People doesn't accept that from once. It takes
It's true, yeah. Yeah, it's true. Means when I do Bordeaux, it was a botanical garden, and it was a kind of meeting with the politics in between, and it was many months of stones. And the politics said, "Okay, guys, what are you doing? We wait on plants, and you bring stones." And it was very sparse. The mayor said, "Okay, it was a competition. It was a jury. Please trust on the keeper and wait what happened." So in Bordeaux, it was 100% positive. In Louvre, it was 100% negative. I was a bad girl who do everything bad. It's true. Because I wanted roses, I wanted tulips.
Grass.
Yeah. And no, in France, you have many people thinking it's a worst project. They don't understand. Because it needs to take a distance to understand. No, it's going better because, because the blah blah of ecology, blah 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 blah. And but yeah, at the beginning it was like we have no respect to the inhabitants that we let. I have 2 samples. I have 3 samples because we need to share money. Because it's 25 hectares. And so we decided to put only 10% of the money, the money in 10% of very high level maintenance, and all other spontaneous. So means meadows. And it was like we don't respect the people because we don't make maintenance. That's the first thing. So you can, maybe, I don't know, that the poor soil, because we have poor soil, because it's trash from a mine pit is trash you cannot sell for economy, so it's poor. And the poor soil in biology is the best to make orchids, to make biology, to make diversity. It's the best. So they said, okay, we don't respect the inhabitants because we don't make maintenance. They put all poor soil away and they buy new soil, neutral soil. And they buy seeds to make diversity. No, so that's reality. What can you say? Hey guys, wake up. So now they understand a little bit better, but 10 years. In Taiwan, we propose places for public spaces and places for woods, for spontaneous engagement. So Taiwan is nearby US. More US than other. They put an army of people to put the dead leaves because it's dirty in the wood. So if you put away the dirt leaves, you put away everything. You put away the mushroom, you put away everything. So you can see that the way you engage, the way you invited the inhabitants in a public space, it's the way you regulate their frame. You need to think that, you need to do that. That is positive, that is negative. But that is jail. Is not liberty, is not creation. But it's reality. Then you are much more respected, linked to the background you have.
That's why you travel so much.
I don't know. I go where I'm invited. I have no direction. No, it's true. But okay, we don't need to take care of that, because if you take care on what the people want, you do nothing, and you just reproduce what the previous generation do, and that's just the death of everything, even of civilization, because your body evolves, everything evolves. So even that's the reason I begin with the earth work. So it's a little bit bizarre. Sorry, I know that I am not correct to say that. To say we have a problem with climate change, but climate change since Earth exists without human. So it's not a problem of climate; it's a problem of human. There's nothing to do. So it's much more easy to say, okay, it's that problem is the climate, but the problem is not the climate. Even we do nothing, climate will change, because it's just a process of the Earth and the process of the planets. Because nothing is definitive, everything is just ongoing. But that suppose you have the distance and you understand much more better. And okay, I understand no all people make biology, chemistry, etc., or physics quantique or astrology. But it's just a way to communicate and the way to make storytelling. And it oriented very badly the behavior of the people. Because when you have environment, you don't need to touch because you are a danger. But that's not the subject. The subject is what you do with and how you touch with. So it depends. It takes a long time. No, the way people understand what you do. But I don't care. Because I see the way people... the most important gift is the way people, some people, not all, play with your places, and that's the most important. It means you reach the sensibility of people. What is the most important, without telling anything. And that's good. In Bordeaux, you have it was a basin and becomes a lake, and you have people swimming. It's not allowed. Nobody says nothing. People go in the basin to swim in the lake. It looks like a lake. In fact, we are in the city center. It's a lake with trees. Nobody said nothing. It's not allowed. It's not sanitary regulated. They just do, and it's okay. It happens. That's good. When you touch the sensibility of people, you do your job. Because I will disappear, but what you have done stay. So it's important for the education for the first generation.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Just to end, I wanted to ask you, Catherine, something a little bit more ordinary from today. I wanted to ask you about your design techniques, because we've been speaking a lot about flexibility and use and nature and a much more philosophical level. But I was wondering of how you work, of how you draw, of what are the resources that you use for design, because even that the projects changed, of course, because of where they were or the different actors that you were working with. There were some strategies that repeated themselves, like the use of the grid overlapping with another resource, and I don't know if there's any specificity about that, about how you draw the things that get built.
We spend, when you begin a competition, and as we, in different countries, we don't know the countries. We spend a lot of time to bring together documentation on the countries. For example, for Taiwan, it's a volcanic island, so we spend months and same for Louvre, to understand how it grows, how it moves. We draw all river from the whole island, and we draw all way it's moving with the top of.
Documents.
No, that's clouds. The documents from Taiwan. So we draw. Yeah, we draw by Akkad, and so it depends. So we spend a mass of time to understand the local condition, the fabric, the physical fabric. So I don't know why we go on the beginning of the Earth because of Doha. We don't go on the beginning of the Earth without Doha, because we understand that today it's desert, but yesterday it was oasis. So why yesterday oasis and today desert? So and then when you read a lot of things, you discover the scientific discovering, and you discover that life was. It's not just the stone. It's not the stone was organic before becoming stone. So, and you learn a lot. So it's just wow. So I just go to the information and try to bring a link between the information. So Yes, the local condition with the brief. The brief is always different. So it means what you see in Taiwan, all the foldering, because we have the main foldering with 12 meters, the bridges and tunnel, and you have the small, because it's flat. So you need to catch water on the outdoor is never flat. It's always 1%, 2%. It's not like here, but even here it's not flat because it doesn't exist. Even if it's 5%, it's but so to catch the water, if you let the water running from north to south, you have and that's what they do. They because for 1 year they had no more water to domestic water because the water table was empty. Because they cut all the trees from the mount, so the water is running directly under the sea. They catch nothing because hard soil, because everything. So it means when you have 2 kilometers and you just make flat soil, so I make foldering 20 centimeters, all that line are foldering to catch the water where it fall down to nourish the water table. So that's just pragmatic. So if you put a flat area, you can catch nothing. The water is running and going away. But the subject was to catch the water, to go into the water table. So you have macro topography and micro. So all that line is like the line of your skin. It's not closed, it's open. If not, you don't breathe. And the cells die. They have no oxygen. So, my background is scientific. So it's always a translation of the local condition and the brief and what you need to do that. Okay, I need to reach it. And for Louvre, it's interesting because I combine it was a factory of coal. So they have many ways to storage the material, to storage many things. So I found plans from the storage, from the fabrics, from the factory. And I know that, the first life process is the cyanobacteria and the mousse, comment on dit? Huh? And when I was in Philadelphia teaching, I found a book combining photographs and scientific from the whole kind of lichen and moss from the North America, a great book. And you see a multitude of kind of typology of mosses, proliferation, spontaneous proliferation. So I had that book, so I go just elaborate, I go to Paris by flight, and wow, that's photograph, so a great books. And in fact, in Louvre, so it was the reason they chose that place, the job of the mosses, and after the trees, after 20 years. Okay, so you do the job. So I go back to your proliferation process, and I tested many proliferation process, and it gives a hybridization system between mineral and vegetal. And when I work in Xi'an, I discovered that the ancestor of the manhole in the occidental cities are just a hole. In real life, in China. So, it's just a hole. So you don't need a manhole, it's just a hole, and it's going down. So it's just a way you have a question and you try to find an answer, and when you do it, you find the answer. And then it's done by hand and by AutoCAD translation, and then you combine the different layer and you combine the different parameter, and that's what we do with Philip. He has a very abstract strategy linked to the way, but very abstract, no link with the local. He could do the same in another place, just combining, that was one reason, combining the flows linked to the season of the wind. So it's hot at that period, here it's windy, so and you have the shadow of the further facade of urban. So you have the shadow of the facade, you have the trees, and it's more fresh. But that is very abstract. So I'm much more linked to concrete. And then you just propose an interpretation. And it's like that. It's really linked to the local and to the local problematic you have to deal with. So it's always intermingling between a brief, a question. If nobody asks me a question, I have nothing to say. No, it's true. It's not. I am not a Taurasian. I'm really not a Taurasian. I do something because someone asked me a question. If not, I just enjoy.
I think that's a great way to end. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming.
It's hot.